Welcome everyone to Marvel Hub. This is DK Dynamite, and thanks to my buddy Taco, it came to my attention that Jake Gyllenhaal's character, Quentin Beck, or Mysterio, was present in a particular scene that many people might have glanced over when they first watched Spider-Man Far From Home. So I'll put an image on screen. Thanks to Marvel True Facts over on Instagram, it's come to our attention that Quentin Beck was watching Peter the entire time. Many people might have actually noticed this scene, but I know for most of my friends and I, we definitely didn't. So for the scene where Peter's glancing at MJ in Venice as she's kind of talking to the Asian dude, can't remember his name at all for right now, but as she's speaking to him, Peter kind of glances over, kind of expressing his jealousy towards the situation. So obviously he's trying to spend time with MJ on this trip and obviously give her a gift and hopefully tell her how he feels. And as this happens, as he's glancing over at her, Quentin Beck walks right beside him. So you can barely see him, but for a split second you could see his face as he glances at Peter, watching him for unknown reasons, just probably formulating his plan so that he could eventually gain access to the Edith glasses, which Tony left behind for Peter. And there's also an on-set image of the director John Watts with Jake Gyllenhaal in this exact same outfit that matches the scene. So we can 100% know for a fact Quentin Beck was watching Peter for a majority of the film when the audience probably didn't even know it. So Quentin Beck definitely had a really good trick up his sleeve when it comes to manipulating Peter into giving him the Edith glasses. And it definitely worked out in the end up until when Peter finally defeated him on the London Bridge. So besides that, there were people out there who had speculated that this was actually the scene when Peter finally returned home and was picked up by Aunt May at the airport. People thought that it was Quentin Beck at that scene taking a look at Peter after we all thought he died. But that would have been a great way to say that, boom, Mysterio lived through those events and is 100% proof that he made it out alive. But unfortunately, that's not the same scene. The airport scene takes place after the final fight between Spidey and Mysterio. The scene that I'm showing you guys on screen was earlier in the film, probably within the first half hour, when Peter was glancing at MJ over in Venice. But besides the scene we just brought up, I also wanted to kind of give a little explanation as to what I think happened to Mysterio and how he ended up manipulating some footage to leak out Peter's secret identity during the post-credit scenes of Spider-Man Far From Home. So obviously Mysterio is a master magician, a giant fraud, such a great character, and Jake Gyllenhaal really portrayed him in a phenomenal way. So I highly doubt they would waste his talent or only use his talent for one Spider-Man film only and never bring him back in the future. Some people might theorize that, oh, maybe he had a backup plan in case he was defeated to have a video leaked of Peter about a week later, thanks to some members of his team that survived after the events of Far From Home. But I honestly don't think it's that simple. I really do believe there was a massive plot twist with how he somehow survived those events and how he wasn't actually dead at the end and probably went into hiding. And when he went into hiding, he somehow got that video leaked, sent it over to the Daily Bugle, and had J. Jonah Jameson stream it to the entire world, which had Peter dumbfounded during the post-credit scenes. But not only do I believe that Mysterio is still alive, but I also believe the plot twist with Peter's identity being shared to the entire world is gonna be reversed in some way, shape, or form, either at some point in Spider-Man 3, maybe a future Spider-Man movie. It'll be reversed at some point because unless Marvel writes some phenomenal, flawless storyline where Peter's identity is revealed to everybody and is staying that way for the rest of the duration of his career as Spider-Man, unless they write something so clever and just great that really resonates well with the fans, I really do believe there'll be a way they can revert that. And I think the way they can revert that is maybe by following some comics, having Doctor Strange wipe the world's memory of it somehow once he becomes a little more stronger as a sorcerer, if they end up exploring that later in the MCU. Not sure if that's possible. They could have a Skrull sort of transform into Peter or Spider-Man and stand beside Peter or Spider-Man just to show everybody that they're not the same person. They could do a lot of things with the projectors that they use in Far From Home. They could project a version of Peter next to Spider-Man to show that they're both there. They could do so many things to revert that entire plot line. But Kevin Feige recently said that they plan on going in a very different direction with Spider-Man's arc, and I think he's basing that off of the post-credit scene. I think he really does mean that they're going to really go in depth with a new storyline with Spider-Man within a future Spider-Man film that obviously Sony and Disney will work on together. And I think the storyline they're going to be going with for this new direction is going to be Peter's identity being revealed to the world. So in a way, you would think, oh, well, they're really turning him into Iron Man now, aren't they? Because they're revealing his identity right away when he just came out in the MCU just a few years ago, which I don't think they're going to stick with, because Kevin Feige also said they're going to take Peter out of Tony's shadow and still reference Tony here and there. Obviously, he's a big godfather of the MCU, but they're going to kind of take Peter out of Tony's shadow and really show that Peter could be his own hero and could take everything he learned to be the hero he's supposed to be, that Tony knew he could be without necessarily being in Tony's shadow for the duration of his career as Spider-Man in the MCU. So they're going to do that. That's kind of my assumption with what Kevin Feige's statement is talking about. But I also believe, as I mentioned before as well, that they're kind of getting us really comfortable with a lot of Spider-Man villains. We had the Vulture in Homecoming. We got some Shocker stuff in Homecoming as well. We have Mysterio in Far From Home. Maybe we'll get some Kraven the Hunter and some other villains that are part of the Sinister Six in some future Spider-Man films. Then let's say for the 5th or 6th, maybe even 7th Spider-Man movie, you finally have the Sinister Six coming together, maybe being brought together by Norman Osborn, but it'll feel like it really pays off when you have all these villains who were established individually in previous Spider-Man movies being brought together to make this big super team that really feels well written, well established, comfortable with the community and the fan base. It'll really feel like it was worth the wait, waiting 5 to 6 Spider-Man movies to see all these great villains coming together. So I really feel like that's what they're building towards, and that was obviously a rumor anyway when it comes to Norman Osborn joining the MCU, but I really feel like they're going to be exploring some really interesting Spider-Man plot points, including his identity being revealed, and they'll eventually kind of wrap that up, maybe reverse that, maybe even keep that, which I think is unlikely because a lot of the comic book runs where Peter's identity is revealed didn't sell so well and didn't really resonate well with the Marvel community. So I'm sure they will revert that at some point in maybe the next Spider-Man sequel, maybe the one after that. We just have no idea. But I really feel like there was a big plot twist left behind in Far From Home when it comes to Mysterio's whereabouts, when it comes to Peter's identity being revealed. But just wanted to make this quick video talking about Spider-Man Far From Home again and what I think they're really building towards, because I do feel like Spider-Man in the MCU is going to be very, very different from the recent Spider-Man portrayals we've seen from Sony with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. They're taking this Spider-Man in a different direction, and they're going to be taking him out of Tony's shadow within the next sequel for Spider-Man, which is great to hear, because I think we're really going to see some comic-accurate stuff while also seeing some different, innovative storylines that we didn't expect for Tom Holland's portrayal of Spider-Man in the MCU. But that's about it. This has been DK Dynamite. Check all links down below in the description. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn notifications on to stay up to date with the latest and greatest Marvel news and information. And peace out, everyone.